Hi Nicholas.
Hello.
How do you think working with David? I think hear the new vision of you for this movie.
Well, first of all, David Gordon Green is someone I've admired for a while. I really liked his movie, All the Real Girls and Undertow and Snow Angels, and I felt that this year is a wonderful year for David Gordon Green with Prince Avalanche and now with Joe. You're seeing an original artist come into complete command of his signature, and I'm happy to be a part of that. He's a very pro actor. He's very pro performance. He allows his actors to explore and to improvise, and he's always looking for the truth in character.
So what made you decide to play this role?
Well, I read the script, I took a year off, and I wanted to find something where I didn't have to act. You know, I wanted to find something where I knew the character, I understood the character so well that I felt I could go inside and be honest about it. And, you know, I'm going to be 50 next year, and I felt like I've lived a life that understood a man like Joe, and in this world of Joe, why he would make the choices he makes, why he gets angry when he gets angry, and why he's trying to control that anger. I felt I could play that in a sincere way.
So how do you prepare yourself for the role? Is it hard playing?
The luxury here was that there's a very excellent novel by Larry Brown called Joe, and I read that religiously. I mean, I read it and I read it again and I read it, and I think it's an excellent book. And when you make a movie based on a book, often it can help you find the character. It's easy to find it because it's in the book. Now, the movie goes in a whole other direction than the book, particularly in the end, but I found that was helpful for me to be able to regard the book as well.
So what kind of person is Joe?
Joe is ultimately a good man. He has a code that he lives by, but he has problems with anger. And I think anybody in any country can understand, but people are people. Everyone has those moments, but it's about him trying to restrain it and restrain it and restrain it until he can find a way to maybe use it to help young Gary in the movie.
So do you think that the movie is quite heavy and dark?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I can't deny that, but you know, sometimes it's important to show tragedy. Everything can't always be, you know, like happy mush and blissful, because that's not life. I mean, even Shakespeare made a career out of tragedy and comedy, and you have to have both.
There are many Chinese people who love your film. Do you want to cooperate with the Chinese directors later?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I hope to one day make a movie in China with a Chinese director. That would be exciting for me. I'd love to see what that person would find in my presence and reinvent me in some way. I would be happy to do that. You know, I'm going to China in September 23rd to make a movie called Outcast for 3 weeks. I'll be in Beijing in the Hunan province, and but the filmmaker is Nicholas Powell. He's an Englishman, but one day I'll be working with a Chinese crew, but one day I would like to work with a Chinese director.
So maybe I can meet you in China?
I hope so. Why not? Yeah, come, please. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, David.
Hi.
What is Larry Brown's novel special to you?
I really loved, within Larry's book, I loved the relationship between this young boy trying to find his own place in the world and encountering a very unlikely role model. The father figure that Nicolas Cage plays was something that I was really interested in exploring, the influence that an older man with very questionable ethics would have on a younger man.
I think Joe is a dark movie because of the bullying and murdering and child abuse. So what is the message behind the movie?
There's not really a message behind the movie, but it does portray things, domestic violence, issues with guns and situations of poverty that I think are very prevalent in America that not really that frequently dealt with as a subject matter. But there's no political point I wanted to make. I just really wanted to paint a portrait about the beauty of these two characters and the beauty of these two very flawed characters in their circumstance. The poverty is just a backdrop, the issues of violence are merely threads that add tension and add stakes to the price of living in this place.
So is it amazing having Nicholas to play Joe?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, he's one of the greatest living actors, and I've been such a fan of his body of work and the chances he's taken, the risks he's had in his career, and it's amazing to be able to take something that I love about Nick and make something brand new.
Yes, very different from the roles that he played before.
Right.
I think. And what do you think working with him?
Well, we just had a blast. You know, he's a very collaborative actor, full of ideas and full of enthusiasm, and most importantly, full of trust. He trusted a creative process that was a little outside the usual.
And what was the most challenging part in making this movie?
The most challenging part was paying respect to a novel that I had great admiration for. You know, when Larry Brown wrote this book, it was from a very personal place for him, and I wanted to make sure that I made something that his legacy, his family would respect. He's no longer living, but the idea that we could make a movie that could live onward and take his characters and let them live and breathe was very important to me.
So what about the interesting part?
Yeah.
The interesting part and the interesting parts in making this movie?
Are there any interesting parts? I mean,
Yeah.
the whole production was. Yeah. One of the most amazing things to me was working with actors of such experience like Nick, and then also there were a lot of non-actors, people that had never performed before in front of a camera. The whole work crew that works with him, and the father, Gary Poulter, who plays the father of the young boy, and these were actors from the streets that we cast, and being able to integrate those, use the authenticity and naturalism of these performers with the great skill and ability of an actor like Nick, that was the most interesting thing for me.
What do you think of the role Gary? Is it very important for the movie?
The role of Gary
Yes.
is very important. It's the heart and soul of the movie. In a lot of ways, he's the emotional center that's going to not only invite the audience in, but invite Joe to tell the story.
So what do you think of the relationship between Joe and Gary in the movie? The relationship.
What's the relationship? You know, it's very. It's the father that Gary never had. It's someone that he can trust and respect, and Gary plays a very damaged young man in a very difficult situation at home, and no one to look up to until he meets Joe, who a lot of the town has outcast and might have some questionable qualities, but becomes a great influence in this boy's life.